There we are, live pregame UVA at Louisville. Got halves. I'm T-Dub, fresh in the house. What do you guys think? Louisville, big must win? I mean, it's a must win, right?
Oh, a fresh drop, so I'll answer. Oh, there he's back. He's back. I'll say I think every game's a must win right now for a couple reasons. One is, some early ugly losses. Secondly, unlike Louisville, who just played the best teams in the ACC in the front half of the season, we are now starting pretty soon. We start playing the best teams. So they've been through the fire with the ACC teams, and I'll get into some stats later. But everything is a must win for us right now because it looks a lot harder the second half as we go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's for the committee, bad losses are way worse than good wins, right? Like good wins help, bad losses really hurt you. You can't have both.
Nope.
What do you think, Fresh?
We won 2 in a row, 3 in a row, and this should be a win. Let's not chalk it up to a win just yet. That's why we're here. I think Notre Dame, we should be able to handle at home. I think it gets really tricky after that. The whole schedule, 5 or 6 games in a row get tricky, but we can get into that later. Let's talk about today.
Yeah, my brother is at the game right now. Let me see if I can share.
Oh, he's got some in arena footage.
Let me see if
sneaky Louisville trip.
I don't know how to share an image. Never mind.
Hey, you know what? We love it when you guys are there and can just film the arena. It adds something to the show. Here's what makes me nervous about today, because we're going to be nervous pretty much every game, every time we play. They have played, so they're 1-5 in their last 6 games, but it's a huge schedule difference, right? They've played, let's see, they played 5 games against the top 6 in the ACC. Those teams' records are 28-11. So they played like the best teams in the ACC, and now they get us. We've done the opposite. We've played the bottom of the ACC, and now we get them. So the question is, do we, are we prepared to play them? I know they're prepared. They've been playing the big boys. So, that makes me a little bit nervous. We've got a killer record against them. We always beat them in Yum Center. We've won 8 in a row. I think we're 18-2 since Louisville joined the ACC, so there's a lot of history on our side. But if you look at kind of the recency of who we've played versus who they've played, they're not going to be wowed or caught off guard by our play because they've just played the best guys.
And they've had some big scores put up. They've had relatively close games against good teams, so this is definitely not a team to sleep on.
The Duke game, they played last. Like they were, the final score was 83-69. They lost by 14 points, but that game was closer. Like they're talented. So I don't know if this is like a typical game where we roll into the Yum Center and just beat the crap out of them, which I think we're accustomed to. But, they're battle tested right now, and I would argue that we're not, right? We took, that the overtime game was a nice win, but you got to remember we gave up a lot in the second half where we shouldn't have. That should have been a 10-point win for us, and instead we had to go to overtime, and Tane kind of came out of nowhere and saved us. So I know we feel better. We won at Georgia Tech, not a good team. We beat Virginia Tech at home. We beat NC State at home in overtime. These guys have been playing the big boys, and now they're not, now they're playing us. So, there's no easy games for us, and it just gets harder from here.
Yeah. I mean, their last win was at Miami, which they won 80-71. That's a tough win.
Yeah, they beat Miami. I mean, that's legit. Miami has some serious athletes. They're all over the road. I don't think they have one play that they actually run. But, don't forget Miami last year was in the Final Four. So this team is like, it's either going to be a close game or they're going to completely melt and Kenny Payne gets fired. I mean, what are they? They're 6-13. They're 1-7 in the ACC. I think they internally look at us and say, this is a game we can win. If you contain Reese and IMAC, you're going to win. So there's always reason to be nervous in any game you go into, but I'm more nervous right now against a 1-7 team than I normally would be.
And the one thing that's different from the last time we played Louisville was emergence of Jordan Minor, right? And then obviously we'll see if Tane and the others step up, but that seems to be the biggest change. And then I guess Dante coming back. Those two are relatively big changes. I wonder how that's going to affect the game.
Yeah, what's scary about this game is the mood. It's a noon game on the road. We always talk about that on a Saturday, and there's not going to be anybody in the arena, right? We're going to have to really find our own energy. I want to talk about Minor as well. We lead to that. What have you guys seen? There's a lot of opinion. It's night beginning of the season to now. What he's done personally, his production, his on-court time.
I don't know if you can see this. Here's what the
There we
arena
go.
looks like right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It looks like my son's high school game that I went to last night.
Yeah, it's completely empty.
Yeah, just 20,000 more seats. But the energy worries me. And Minor didn't just learn to play basketball 5 games ago, right? Or he didn't learn just to play in the ACC, but he brings a lot. He brings a certain toughness. He can guard without having to use another man to double team in the post is huge. But we haven't played kind of in the lead. I guess Big Daddy Burns, we kind of make him out to be maybe more than he is. He's a good screener. What do you guys think that Minor brings has changed, or what changed in his game? Was he hurt? I don't know.
TW, you go, and then I prepared some comments on this.
Yeah, my thought was not playing early probably lit a fire under him, and he kind of hustled to learn what he needed to do to get in the court, and then whether he was much change or not, he got put in, and I think we're seeing the benefit of his hard work, right? So that's kind of what I think. I'm hoping, but again, we can ask Jay Willie when he comes on if anything actually changed, or if we just said, "Here are the minutes, you got to figure it out," and he's kind of figured it out. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, you make me think too. Like when he did get to play, he may have just been like, you know what? I already wasn't playing. I might as well just go for it here and just leave it all out on the floor. And I think he's kind of done that, right? He hasn't played that kind of safe guy that maybe he did early in the season. We talk about where some of the guards play safe to not mess up. He's let it go, right? He's put everything out there, it seems to me, and acts like a man in the court, which we need.
Agree with that. I'll say this. Number one, it speaks directly to one of what I think is one of the biggest myths in the Virginia basketball program, is that it takes us so much more time. A new player, it takes them so much more time to adjust to our playing style. You know what? I think it's just as big an adjustment at a place like Duke or North Carolina or name like almost any program in the country. Do I think it's maybe 5 to 10% bigger adjustment? And when you put it in a time frame that's like another 2 weeks. Yes, he played zone. Yes, he was at Merrimack, but he didn't go from like rugby to football. He didn't go from cricket to baseball. It's still basketball. When you play in the summer, you play man-to-man. He's been playing man-to-man for probably his whole life, except for when he was at Merrimack. So yes, Virginia fans, I know there's an adjustment, but it's not such a massive thing that we have to like develop this narrative. So that's number one. Number two, I think the worst thing that happened for Jordan, I think his adjustment took place in the early part of practice, right? That first like month when they're practicing. Then you couple that with Blake having his best game by far against Florida, right? So Blake was adjusting, Jordan is adjusting, and then Blake has his big game against Florida. That really, really hurt him. The best thing that's happened to him is the fact that we have been blown out. Because if we had lost those games to Memphis and Wisconsin and Notre Dame and NC State by like 6 points instead of losing by 18 or 20, I think he would still be on the bench. The fact that we lost by so much signaled that we had a deficiency and a problem to Tony. And Tony was willing to be more flexible, less stubborn, and insert him into that game. If those are 6-point losses, I'm not sure that Jordan Minor plays. So that was a good thing. As Fresh said, what does he bring to us? You know, we have a lot of, like, we pride ourselves, like there's the whole Virginia gentleman thing, and we play good defense and we have tough kids, but we don't have any like, you know, tough guys. I thought Poppy brought some of that last year, right? Where he'd bang a shoulder into a guy. He was like a bloody lip guy. He probably gave guys bloody lips, you know, three out of 7 days in practice. What Jordan brings is a little bit of like the Charles Oakley, where it's like, oh, okay, like I'm not really going to mess with this guy. You know, when you talk about tough guys, like Reese, good player, tough player, not a tough guy. Rhodey, not a tough guy. Ryan Dunn, really good. You know, all these guys are really good, but they don't have that like intrinsic, like I might F you up if you mess with me, and I'm going to give you big shoulders. Yeah. So, you know, the other person who brings a little of that, well, there's two people, I think. I think Jordan's the main guy. I think Tane brings that like New Zealand rugby stuff. And, you know, a little bit of that like Kiwi toughness. And then also Dante has a little flair and a little bit of like that city swag. So I like seeing that. We've got a lot of nice guys that we like, we root for, but I do like seeing a little bit of that chip, and it showed up in Minor's game, and we need it today.
Yep, totally agree. He's a guy that you don't when you're on the court and you're looking to bully somebody or go after somebody in a physical way, he's probably not your first pick. So it's always good to team.
Yeah, you don't see because Minor doesn't look like he has crazy lateral speed. You don't see him doing the hard hedge and people pulling him out and all of that. So that's probably a good thing, right? I don't know if that's a matchup thing or what, but I can imagine that would be something that would not get you a ton of playing time if you're practicing that pick and roll and that hard hedge and you can't recover.
Well, it's people don't realize it. And I don't realize. I'm not a big man. I always talk about that, and I don't understand a lot of their nuance and their battles. But we have a text chain with the guys that played in the '90s. Me and Hav and Brian Stith, Corey Alexander, Jeff Jones, on and on. And Jeff Jones made the comment, we were really good on D because our big guards did not need help on every position. Our big guys, Ted Jeffries, Yuri Barnes, on and on, they could guard guys one-on-one in the post. And they were guarding NBA guys, Rasheed Wallace, Chris Alexander.
Real guys.
And Coach Jones made that comment that made me think as a coach. So that's, you guys make the great point that I think Tony came into the season expecting the Merrimack guy, which happens to be Jordan Minor, was going to be his starter, right? The word was Blake Buchanan ramped up, and Blake Buchanan became that threw a wrench in everything for coaches, right? So I think he's been able to reset to what he saw the team would look like out of the gates, and Minor stepped it up. And yes, he's a dog.
It's a good segue. Good segue. Do we see a new starting lineup today, or do we see us? Rhodey played 12 minutes the last game. Tane obviously had a good game. People forget Tane had 12 last time against Louisville. So it's not like he had this one good game. Like, he was really good against Louisville last time.
Right.
Do we see that, or do we see Tony stay patient with Rhodey and then bring in someone off the bench at some point soon.
Tane.
I just found out why I think I like Tane so much, outside of the way he plays and everything about him, is he's never started a game at the University of Virginia, near and dear to my heart, because I never once started a game. I think he started second last game in Street, I think, and he's done that a couple times in his career. I would not be surprised to see Tane get the start, and as much of a thank you.
It's announced. WFS just said it's the same. That's what I thought. I didn't think they would put. I think Tony's going to be patient with Rhodey with a quick hook if he's not into it. I don't think it's time to yank him. Yep. But I don't really. As Fresh always says, I don't care who starts. Go with the guy who's playing better.
And I just think Rhodey can do good in that coming off the bench thing, but we'll talk. We don't need to talk about that right now. I think he can sub 3 guys, right? Tane can't sub 3 guys. Tane can't come in for Reese, let's say. But
right.
Anyhow, we'll go with our guys today.
Yeah, it looks like the arena is basically empty, which my brother just sent me an update. He's like, it hasn't changed. It's still empty. Kind of a sad state for both programs, right?
That sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what else sucks being on the CW? I looked, there was some programming on this morning. I ordered some joint pain relief around inflammation. It was great. But hey, let's get to predictions because we're about to go to the broadcast. T-Dub, what do you got?
I've got us 76-68. Not easy, but I think we're going to pull this one out.
It's kind of right on the spread line. The spread line's like 7.5 to 8.5. All right, Fresh, what do you got?
You guys are going to be surprised by me. 55-52 Wahoos.
Wow.
I think it's going to be not pretty.
Root canal.
Speaking of.
Yeah, we had one last game. You may as well get the other molar taken out. On the other side.
Thanks.
I think. Oh, sorry for that. So I don't think we're going to bust out offensively. We didn't get into the Louisville shooting, but they shoot very, very well. I'll split the difference and say 68-62 Hoos.
Oh, okay.
So we got a 50s. Fresh has got us in the 50s. I'm in the 60s. T-Dub, you're in the 70s. We'll see what happens. Jim's
got us in the 60s and Louisville in the 49s. So.
Ooh, Can
somebody at home? Can somebody that's a faith watcher like Jim maybe keep up with these things, and so we can just prove that I've been right every game? Appreciate it.
Fresh, I actually keep a point total, and you're in dead last place. Actually, underneath people that aren't even predicting things.
All right, we'll see you at the halftime.
Halftime. Go Hoos.
Go Hoos.
Go Hoos.